I'm ready. Record.
Alright, we can finally do this. Burp, burp. Whose phone's vibrating? I think I
Not
started.
I,
I
said
think I
the
started a
van.
Hangouts event, which might trick people on YouTube because it'll say live streaming this, and then it creates a wrong link. You know, I hate that.
Probably the worst thing in my life right now, honestly.
Oh no way, I would have to. Check. See, we're live
Oh, I think I
streaming.
got your answer, Sergio. I'm pretty sure it was Shooting Stars that made episode 3 into a meme.
Really?
I'm positive.
How shooting stars?
Because that was the most popular thing that I assume because it's like the most view counted thing I've seen from Shooting Stars other than Smash Mouth.
When did it come out? When did they release that? 2016? What?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know.
So, well, man, no. I don't know if it's treason then. Like Palpatine and stuff. Then that came before, so it can't be shooting stars.
Oh.
Oh, someone's watching. All right, hey guys. Okay, people are here. Okay,
Oh.
people are watching.
We're just talking about episode 3, guys. Nothing special.
All right, so this is our 2,000 subscriber space show. The special. So let's answer some answer some questions here. Why not, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. First from Ricefield Pepe. Would you support an anarcho-primitivist revolution if it were to happen? And someone
No.
said, "How
Hell
would that?
no.
How would that even happen?" Good question. Pure ideology, my friend.
Ultimate
Anarcho-primitivists.
Luddites.
Anarcho-primitivists would be doomed to lose anyway. Like, in the modern world, you can't just issue modern
Yeah,
weaponry and expect to win.
like
And, like,
fight the.
I
also,
know
a primitivist
Einstein said
society.
World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones, but that's not because of anarcho-primitivism.
It's because of posadism.
Yeah.
But like seriously, a primitivist society would also be very fascist aligned because it would literally just be brawn muscle that
Yeah, it would lead
would
to social Darwinism. Good point.
like I'm not saying that fascists are in shape and all because let's face it, 99% of fascists do not meet their own definition of purity. But like all it's going to do is just like one random strong guy, regardless of his previous political beliefs, to just start punching everyone down, and soon all the power will go to his head.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, next question. Have you accepted Jason Unruh as your Lord and Savior?
No.
I accept him every day when I watch him. So yeah, I guess so. Well, the anarcho Unruhism, sure.
I
That
won't
makes
shut
sense.
up about him and his man crush.
I try, but that mohawk is so goddamn ugly, I just can't bring myself to
Oh,
do
I
it.
like it. It's cool. What's cool is that he has it. He
He
makes
didn't mean
videos
that,
with it,
Jason.
but he's
He's
still
culturally appropriating anarchist colors.
he
Oh
still wears a
god damn,
tie
stop
though. So
being
he's got
white.
like a tie and a mohawk. Kind of a neat combination. And then he goes on Iranian state television and he puts it down because you got to be all business on there. But then yeah,
Well,
it's kind of.
if anybody's gonna save it from his hair, it's definitely a theocracy.
I mean, if I was him, I would definitely do that. I just wouldn't wear the tie though, because I don't like ties. Why is Trotskyism so popular in the West? Dem papers went everywhere because Stalin killed the revolution.
My guess would be from the fact that when he got exiled, he probably had a chance in the Americas to start growing his movement there. So
I
yeah,
guess.
that could explain it. Also, the reaction towards the secret speech would more likely
Yeah,
affect Westerners a bit more because compared to the Soviets, because within the Soviet Union, Marxist-Leninism is still going to be the current order,
and
criticisms of Stalin aside.
because
So
we're
yeah.
inundated with anti-communist propaganda, and a lot of that focuses on Stalin because he was running the show, right? So
Right,
that's
exactly.
kind
If
of naturally going
I'll,
to tend towards
yeah,
the
like
communists being
like I
Trotskyists here.
like I swear to God, like if Trotsky took over instead of Stalin, I honestly don't really buy that it would have been super different, but like it would definitely be Stalin in the alternate timeline who would be popular in the West if Trotsky uh, had taken over and exiled Stalin to Mexico or something.
Well, first of all, Trotsky's weakness is an ice pick, and second of all, Stalin doesn't have any weaknesses.
Yeah,
Mm.
or maybe it's
So
for the
I think
yeah,
Trotsky would still be short-lived regardless.
yeah. Well, considering that Mexico is where Trotsky is going to die, and that's why Trump really wants to build a wall in Mexico's
Hmm.
border,
Gotta
maybe
prevent
all
the ice
the
picks.
yeah, maybe all the illegals just crossed over to America, stole a bunch of white people jobs, and spread Trotskyism.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
You hear that, Trotskyists? Support Trump.
No, don't support Trump. He'll build a wall, and you can't flee the ice pick.
Oh shit.
money,
Catch
land, with
22.
fences around, is that your property, you bourgeois? Fuck. Well, it's a little petit bourgeois, I guess, because labor aristocrats brought it. So yeah, other channel probably donated to Patreon. Yeah, we got 5 patrons now. It's pretty sweet.
Sweet.
Did you get the money out, by the way? Yeah. Eh?
Yeah, I got the
Sweet.
payout.
All right, we
We're
just
still working on like getting a new intro,
yeah,
right?
that'll be
So
cool.
I still haven't really checked out Fiverr yet.
Okay.
So unless maybe
Yeah.
anybody we know would like to make
Yeah.
an intro for us and we'll pay. So
You can do it
that'd be
for under
cool.
$10. Do you think? Here's a question for you, Dan, because I can't answer this. Do you think Stirner or well, I don't know. Do you think Stirner and egoism is are compatible with Maoism or at least Leninism?
I doubt it. I mean, like
Not,
if you want to like go
no.
like really strictly about Stirner and egoism, they probably wouldn't like the idea of a collective state or really a collective state society, considering that would like really threaten, that would like really limit individual liberties. So probably not. Like not
Because
at all.
I don't really know
Yeah.
anything about egoism, but it strikes me as more on the individualist side of anarchism, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's such a thing as union of a union of egoists, even though it's still kind of more like more have more individual liberties than Leninism or Maoism could
You imagine a
offer.
bunch of
Right,
workers
right.
getting
In my
together like,
opinion, anyway.
you want to start a trade union? No, let's start a union of egoists.
Yeah,
That'll be better. Um,
we could that probably convince libertarians maybe.
what do you think about Marxist syndicalism? Well, I don't know. Like, you want to talk
I
about?
thought syndicalism was like more like a tactic, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it means what? Like, workers' councils that get together and cooperate with each other, right? Like, that's basically what it is. I mean, that's kind of the basis for Soviet democracy. So
Yeah.
if unless there's a difference between Marxist syndicalism, Soviet democracy, I don't know. But I guess the closest thing to that is like de Leonism, which I'm making a video about it soon in like the tendencies series, right? So I'm doing non-Leninist Marxism. So it's gonna be like
Yeah.
Lefkom's Luxembourg and de Leon. So that'll be fun. This Libyan says, "How long did it take you to read Das Kapital?" Implying.
I haven't read it all the way through. I stopped after 4 pages because I had to keep rereading sentences to understand what Marx was talking about.
Right.
I don't.
So
I don't think
I
there's
guess
any.
the easiest way would be just listen to David Harvey.
I don't think there's any proof that anyone's read Capital other than Marx, Engels, and maybe Lenin. I don't know. Like
Oh yeah, plus wasn't it unfinished?
the average lifespan is 80 years. So how does that work out? How is that even possible?
Yeah. We'll get a robot. We'll make a robot
I don't know.
that
Maybe
can
I'll
read Das
listen.
Kapital all the way through.
Maybe I'll listen to the e-book on like double speed on a plane trip, and then I'll get through.
Right.
I'll get through section 1 of chapter 1 of part 1 of volume 1. El Zapatista or la El or la, I don't know. Anyway, the
Hello, la
Zapatista says
Zapatista.
thoughts on the Zapatistas, comrades, compañeros. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're cool.
I
I
don't know
don't
what
know
else
what
to
they're
say.
like doing now. I don't think it's much.
Yeah,
I believe
I
they're
don't
still
know.
fighting against the Mexican military. Well, it's more like skirmishes, if anything.
It's still
So
ongoing, so that's important.
yeah, so keep it on, keep it on.
Yeah. Uh, Someone said, "Can I hover zoom this?" Yeah, liars. um, yeah. After I put up the video announcing this, people unsubscribed, which made me kind of pissed. But to be honest, like I did that to someone as well. Someone hits like a number, you unsubscribe to make it lower again. So yeah. Wonder what language this is. Gaboneerd. I don't know. Kind of looks like Dutch. Gaboneerd. Anyway, well, at least Calamity is Gaboneerd to us. Thank you, Calamity.
Gabo near.
Even though you call me a liar, which I'm not. We were at 2K, and we are
I
again.
don't know what the language that is. It's like I want to say German, but I don't think that's right.
It
Let
looks
me
like Dutch with the two e's like that. I don't know.
let me check.
Okay, wow,
Yeah,
whatever. Who
good
cares?
use Google
Mexi,
Translate, but I'll say like Spider Castle
yeah.
or something.
Well, people who speak foreign languages can also make spelling mistakes, so
Mexi
that messes
says,
up the
"Congrats
translation.
on 2K."
Okay, Dutch.
Thanks, Mexi. What do you do
Yeah,
for a
we'll go with
living in
that.
TO? Well, Serge, you're in school, right? You're in
College,
university.
more accurately, but yeah.
Yeah, college.
It's a school.
I finished college. I was taking law.
Yeah, you're the grandpa of the group.
Yeah. So yeah, uh, how do you first get into leftist theory? Oh boy, you want to go there? Um, well,
Uh,
when I was 13, I watched the documentary "The Corporation" on TV. It was on like TVO, I guess, and that just changed my life. I never heard anything like about that before. I was like, oh, corporations are ruining the world. Oh shit, I didn't know that.
yeah,
And yeah, that's what got me into
I
leftist theory. I want to talk about specifically Marxism. That would take longer, but that's when it
yeah,
started. What about you
I
guys?
s- yeah, I specifically started out. I remember my change to a far leftist. For starters, definitely started out as a liberal, mostly because like I think I might have not liked the word conservative in the beginning because it wasn't associated with like I don't know Obama or something, and that the word sounded all old-fashioned and whatnot. But yeah, I started out as a liberal, then I became a social democrat, then I became a Demsoc, and then eventually I read more up on Marxism and the history of Soviet Armenia. And then I decided, I think I'm going to be on the far left from now on, especially considering that due to having grown up in the Middle East, I realized that a lot of the reasons the place is so messed up is because Islamists were funded in order to counter communism, and that imperialist wars were waged on like nations that simply oppose the United States and whatnot, whereas like more religiously strict theocratic oligarchical states of the Gulf got a free pass because they were capitalist aligned. So yeah, at that point,
Well,
how could I not be a
what
communist?
about you, Dan?
Could I not
Um, a bit of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. So, like, of course, initially I was a liberal because my parents were,
Mm.
and then around 2012 or so, like, I think when Obama was like nearing, like the like middle of his term, I started like finding out like about like drone bombs and stuff. And this was also around the time I was like reading a lot about like Vietnam, so I was like pretty like anti-war liberal. And then I just kind of got disillusioned with Obama. Then I started getting really into like punk rock. I listened to this
Of
Yes.
song.
course.
It just like junior year of high school. I listened to the song Reagan Youth. Sorry, USA by Reagan Youth, and it made a
Cool.
lot of sense to me. So I had kind of like a vague idea of what anarchism was, and it was kind of hard to explain to people what exactly I was talking about. But then I started like listening to Noam Chomsky, and then I got like really into watching libertarian socialist rants and Crime Think. Um, So and also this was around 2015 or so. So this was around the time when like Michael Brown was like shot dead by some cops in Ferguson, as well as a lot of other police brutality stuff. And I started like hearing on Crime Think podcasts or talking like the history of capitalism and racism in the United States. I was like, wow, well, capitalism definitely sucks if it's racist. So there you
Yeah,
go. That's kind of how it started.
it has to be racist because divide and conquer is very good for the bourgeoisie. And when they want to go exploiting foreign nations, they have to be like, what can we use to justify exploiting this nation? Oh, look, they're different than us. They look very different than us, so we can just use the whole idea of xenophobia to get
Yeah,
our people all
absolutely.
riled up. Because, like, at that time, nations that, looked whitish were generally more developed since they had more advantageous geography and whatnot, and so they took advantage of the disparity, even though it was pretty arbitrary. Especially when one considers for a long period of time it was the East Asians and Middle Easterns who were more advanced, and just said, "Oh, it has to do with their skin color." Now, if you'll excuse me, we're gonna go ruin their
Yeah.
livelihoods
Okay,
because we
next
said
question.
so.
Yeah.
Almost all socialists agree that we should oppose bourgeois gun control in order for the workers to arm themselves for revolutionary defensive purposes, but I've seen that opinions tend to be more mixed on the topic of ownership of firearms after socialism is established. Do you think ownership of firearms as personal property should continue to be allowed in post-capitalist society? I don't know, kind of a weird question. I guess so.
Except toothbrushes. We all have to use everybody else's toothbrushes.
Yeah,
Gotta
Dan,
be damned
dibs
to
on
be used.
yours.
We gotta take the fluoride out of the water too.
Yeah, before they make all
Just
the
kidding.
frogs gay.
Short-term socialism. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Because gotta watch out for imperialists and capitalist roaders. They might try to.
Pretty much.
In total full communism, not sure what they would be used for. Maybe for hunting, I guess. Because like, why would
Yeah,
you want to? Like if we're in like fully automated, luxury, all that good shit. Like, why would you ever need to shoot anyone? I guess some people would still be like,
self-defense, like a lot of
yeah, I guess maybe
asshole people
people would
just like
still be like
decide to be like, I know
mentally
like
ill
no one really
sociopaths
decides
or
to be
something.
evil, but it doesn't stop people from
Yeah.
becoming assholes. Like, communism won't prevent somebody from learning about fascism and deciding they identify with that.
Oh yeah. Well, I was
Yeah,
just gonna say
so
someone who's just like
yeah.
has
Also,
something
there's a
wrong
chance
with them
that
and just
invading aliens could turn out to be space imperialists, so we'll probably
yeah.
need that.
Personally, think a socialist state should follow suit with
Just in
the
case.
Soviets and have a
Yeah.
standing army. Yeah. Well, yeah, socialist state. Yeah, of course. Any citizen who wants a firearm can have one unless they're
Yeah,
studying
as long as
from mental suffering from mental. Yeah, found to be unsafe. Also, I think go through gun safety course. Yes, very good. Suitable reference. Your old Power Star videos here. Yep. Who sees the memes of production? We did. Should we temporarily support people? Okay, serious question here. Should we temporarily support people like Assad to combat U.S. imperialism? People make the case that the Syrian people can choose whether to keep him after the imperialists are gone, but I'm not convinced.
Okay,
Uh,
this is gonna cause me and Ev to probably have a fight with Dan over this, but I think Assad is the lesser evil compared to the FSA. Like, look, I'm gonna be honest with everyone. Up until a few years ago, I kind of hated Assad, but considering how bad the FSA is, as well as the fact that, self-determination and all that, I think siding with the Syrian government, at least against the FSA and ISIS, is the more moral thing to do. But like, obviously, I support the Rojava revolution above all. Like, if the ideology and forces of Rojava could encompass Syria, or not Rojava, the was it the SDF, I believe.
yeah, YPG. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. If that ideology could
IPG
encompass
and
Syria,
PKK.
I'd be fine. But like right now, I'm accepting a dual Ba'athist SDF-controlled Syria. As for Assad himself, well, like I think there would need to be free and transparent elections after the war
Yeah.
to determine if he stays in, and if Assad starts fighting again, I don't think it would prolong the civil war. I think it would just end it because I think the army would then coup him because they'd be tired of fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the best outcome realistically would be like the Syrian government remains in power, and there's some kind of, deal with Rojava. Like there's some kind of like, autonomous subdivision within like a federal Syria that has, more right, like basics of self determination, like, any country where there's like a minority population in a certain area. Because then, the most progressive forces in the country would stay in power, and the civil war wouldn't be all for nothing, because then they would, have a new arrangement for the whole country, as far as I see it. Um, but yeah, because people say like if they had their own separate country, that's why the U.S. is supporting them, because it's to balkanize them. So Leila Khaled said, at least.
Right.
So yeah, I'm totally sympathetic to that line. I don't blame anyone for not being able to stomach, openly praising Assad, right? I understand that. We've been inundated with all this stuff about all the shit that's been going on. But as long as you're not calling for any type of support for the Syrian opposition, um, then you're okay, I think. Because
Yeah.
the main thing, the main task of anyone living in any capitalist country is to oppose what your state is doing. That's anti-imperialism. So yeah. Like on Twitter, I was sharing this Jacobin article where they were saying opposing imperialism isn't enough. We have to be against Assad. Where are these
No.
progressives when the U.S. government was blocking access to weapons to the opposition? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they're basically calling for the U.S. to do more to arm the rebels. That's. I don't know how any leftist can write that. I thought that was despicable.
Right.
Anyways, how do we go about
Yeah.
reappropriating Pepe from the alt right? Total shift in gears here. Or even more of a stretch, how could we reappropriate the term red pill? Yeah, I think that one's gone right now. Maybe
Yeah, I'm
at some
gonna say
point.
this. Unlike most memes, Pepe is international news in regards to being an alt-right symbol, so it's a lost cause. And I'm also gonna blame Hillary for that in her ever infinite out of touchness and an inability to understand memes. She actually kind of gave Pepe to the alt-right when I think her campaign mentioned it or something like
Yeah,
that. But like honestly, 99% of the time, I am generally suspicious of people with Pepe avatar.
eh,
Like unless it has a communist theme on it, but I'm like communist pepes are a bit of a lost cause, so they're gonna get dwarfed eventually,
I don't
like
really think
very very
so. I
dwarfed.
don't think he's inherently
Like I don't know,
alt-right.
obviously I don't think, yeah, I don't think Pepe meme is inherently alt-right. Like it's not. That's the thing. Pepe isn't inherently alt-right in any way. It's just that
No, but
just
even
because of that
effectively, I don't think so.
stupid national news thing or some
Yeah,
shit.
it was mostly them just saying it. Like
Yeah, like it's hard for us to
it's just
reappropriate
used
it.
more by alt writers because it's like it's a traditionally 4chan or 8chan meme, and they have a big section of alt
Yeah.
writers.
I- I'm just beginning not to like Pepe, which is weird because I used to like it before it became alt-right and Clinton decided it should belong to the alt-right. As for Red Pill, it's very sad actually, considering the Wachowskis who directed
Yeah.
The Matrix are trans women, and one could argue that,
Oh.
being the Red Pill was the idea that you actually acknowledge that you are transgender and you are rejecting
Oh.
your false gender identity in favor of your
Interesting.
true one.
Yeah.
But now, like, MGTOWs and
Yeah.
like where they like MRAs are hijacking it. Obviously, the Wachowskis didn't come out as trans women until later, but it's still sad.
Well, it seems to me the way how I understood it, MRAs were just like saying that this is where feminism leaves men behind, and also all these complaints about feminism. That red pill was like a different thing, where it was like pickup artists that they don't care for
Right.
the men's rights movement. They just want to be pickup artists that have this whole philosophy with women. And now it seems like they're they're all mixed together, and also red pill is just meaning like indoctrinate someone in like nationalist alt-right ideology. So the whole, I don't know. I think I'm losing track of all this far right bullshit. Anyway, but yeah, we can't
If you
reclaim
guys
it
weren't
now.
fucking normies, you'd probably
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't reclaim it now, which is ironic.
understand
Not
it.
just because of the Wachowski brothers, but because it's being used by white nationalists. And like, who said it? Morpheus. It was fucking Lawrence Fisher or fucking Lawrence Fishburne. So how is a white nationalist reappropriating something Lawrence Fishburne said?
Right.
Explain that. Objectively speaking, who do you believe is the largest traitor to the socialist movement? Karl
The
Kautsky?
social,
Just the
I don't know,
socialist
maybe
movement?
the Democratic Socialists or Social Democrats who killed
George
Rosa,
Soros.
but I don't think they count as a socialist movement.
George Soros. Karl Kautsky, and no, what's his name? Uh, Ebert, like the SPD guy. Yeah, whoever gave the go ahead to kill Rosa. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Pol
There's a few
Pot
more
if you want to
questions.
count him. um, I guess someone more Chinese inclined would say Lin Biao. I think that was the one that crashed into the mountains, flying away from Mao as they were trying to overthrow him. How does that even work? You're trying to overthrow Mao, so you fly away in a plane. Guys, I guess he got caught. I don't know. Anyway, what do you think of what do you think of the ongoing
Or
People's War?
maybe like Dao Zheping.
No, it wasn't Deng Xiaoping. It was Lin Biao. I'm pretty sure. Is anyone in the chat saying no?
Oh, maybe.
Russia gets weapons from the Russians. What? Really? I think the Kurds are just willing to accept weapons from the Americas as a point of realpolitik. Yeah, of course. Can't
Yeah.
find much consistent info on
In regards to the Kurds messing up Turkey, like, you have my blessing. Erdogan was the biggest mistake
Yeah.
of a
Anyways.
bourgeois politician.
Oh, that relates to the next question. What do you think of ongoing people's war in Turkey? Yeah, go ahead. Fuck the Turkish government. Peru,
Yeah.
that's Sendero Luminoso. They've been at it for a while. Some of these guerrilla movements, it's like, you guys have been at it for a while. What are they like? What does it accomplish? They turn into like a militant movement that's like trafficking drugs and shit.
Weren't a lot of these
I
original,
don't know.
like, drug movements in Latin America actually peddled by the CIA to fight communists?
They actually didn't. This person actually didn't mention FARC because they're talking about Maoists, even though you could argue that FARC is doing the People's War. But I don't know, as long as they're doing something with the area they control, that makes it better for the people living there. Which I assume I would like to assume that they're doing that. It's hard to get objective information about that though. You know, like how would I know about if they're operating in the jungle and shit like that? The best best publicized one of this list I think is the Philippines. They got like social media and YouTube and shit. Actually, I think they just got dropped from Facebook. They're like, shit, Facebook kicked us out. But it's like, well, running a guerrilla movement against the capitalist government, I guess. That's probably why. And India, that's the Naxals. They control a big chunk of India. If you actually look on a map, it's pretty huge. They're considered the biggest internal security threat in India. So that's cool. Again, if they're doing something that makes the lives of the people there immediately better, then that's awesome. But I don't really know much about it. I would be inclined to support them. What do you think of the revolution in Nepal? So you guys know about Nepal?
Not too much. No.
Basically,
Nope.
like
Don't know
I
anything.
the
won't speak on
Communist
it then.
Party like won an election, so they're technically in power, but they haven't carried out a social revolution. I'm not sure why. I guess they just kind of turned out to be revisionist, and it's hard to carry out a revolution. Everyone around you that's not the workers in the party is trying to stop it. So I don't know. But now there's like a split from CPN Mao. It's a Maoist party that did it too. I don't think that's happened before. But now there's like a more hardcore revolutionary party that wants to like save the revolution or whatever. Prachanda Pass. Prachanda. Mr. Prachanda guy. I think that's his name. What do you think of the pink tide in Latin America? Well, I mean, I don't know much about Morales and Correa or the other guys. Most people know more about Chavez and the Chavez Chavistas and Bolivarianos. I don't know the Bolivarian Revolution had some pretty good accomplishments. A bit of nationalizations, right? I think they nationalized the oil, and like a lot of social programs bringing people out of poverty and shit, like really cut the extreme poverty rate, I believe. So yeah, that's good. But now they're kind of in trouble. They've been at a crossroads for years now. Under Maduro, you can either seize the means of production, have a complete social revolution, or he's going to eventually fail. So and I prefer the former. So
we
they
did
really
get tele-USR out of it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
what?
we did.
So yeah, they really need to go full ahead with the social revolution. But other than that, they're pretty cool. Better than not having social democrats in power, and just being more right-wing military dictatorships. What do you think? Paraguayan People's Army. I should look this up. I don't know anything about that one. What do you think of Australia? I don't know. A bunch of fucking Australians. What do you want to...
Aren't they like the meme country of Oceania?
The meme country. Democratic
Like
Socialists
Lebanon is the
from
meme country
Australia.
of the Middle East. I will assert that. Kosovo is in Europe because its existence is literally a meme on the internet.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes, Australia is definitely the meme country of
The
Oceania.
meme country.
Oh wait, did they lose the word to emus or something?
Oh yeah, the
My
emu
favorite
war.
bands is Midnight Oil, also. They're from Australia.
Oh yeah. Do 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 do. Carry in our hearts the true country.
Time has come to say fair's fair.
I don't know that one. I only know
Pay the rent.
I only know Dead Heart because Alexis on Fire covered it. They're a band from Ontario. I saw them twice. Good band. You know about Alexis on Fire, Dan?
Yeah, they're only hit in the U.S. at the time.
They are, yeah.
I
Oh, cool.
haven't heard of it, I don't think.
Well, PragerU and Steven Crowder lead us to full communism. Yeah, because people will see that their arguments are so awful. They're like, fuck it, might as well be communist. Why is your tree white? I don't know. It's like a normal. I think it was just the camera. Why are you celebrating? How are you celebrating the anniversary of the revolution? Make a video about it. Like it's all about the videos. I wish we could just celebrate it by just having the fucking full-on worldwide revolution. Just overthrow everything. They should at least do something in St. Petersburg, though. They should rename it Leningrad for the anniversary. Even if only
Right.
for one day, but preferably permanently. Thoughts on Ho Chi Minh? He was pretty badass. He defeated the world's greatest superpower with a bunch of farmers. What accomplishment could be greater than that?
And
He
kids.
was pretty cool. And what?
Well, and kids, right? They're like child soldiers in that war, wasn't
Yeah.
there?
Wow, yeah. Sure, he did naughty things too, but he also did some pretty badass shit.
Well, yeah, I know. No.
But if you look at Indochina and the Cold War, they did the least bad shit, I think. Everyone was fucking destroying shit.
Yeah.
Like China, Cambodia, the U.S., they did way worse things. Does Antifa make the far left look bad?
No.
Yeah, you get a pretty sweet beard.
Like it would probably depend on the individual Antifa members' actions. Like
Well, I guess
If they're-
I'm guessing they're thinking of like yeah, most of them I would say no, but like
Yeah, because anybody can be Antifa.
Yeah, it's not an
Yeah, it's
official
like
organization.
anonymous.
Like if someone's trying to host an official Antifa organization with a president and all that, just get out of it. Antifa is just like literally any group of people just going up and fighting fascism as long as they're far left aligned.
If you see like a Antifa Congress in within the Democratic Party that's campaigning for Hillary, then yeah, that's that's how we know they've really lost the course. No, but well, I mean, when they're smashing windows to
That'd be a
protest
problem.
Milo, I could see why that's like, yeah, that's. I don't think that achieves anything good. That's like, you know, that's just gonna make people pissed and not see their point of view. So yeah, I don't think.
I mean,
I don't know.
the media just make them look bad no matter what. So it's not like it really matters what they do in the
No, no, it's true, but
terms of like
they just need to
publicity.
think about what they're protesting, what the
You know,
tactic is,
have good publicity.
how
They
it
should just.
looks. Yeah, you have to
That's
weigh
what
one
that's
against
what the
the
liberal
other.
media would want.
How to achieve left unity by subscribing to Red Star videos? No, do we
Yeah, I mean,
need
we
it?
kind of
Yeah.
done it already. So
Well,
just
yeah,
do what
left unity
we
is
do.
pretty useful.
Try to fight as little as possible and cooperate as much as you can.
Of course, we need it. That thumbnail, thank you. Yeah, I just found it on full communism. Five corgis with Marx beards or 10 duck-sized mouths. Duck-sized mouths. That would be kind of scary. Corgis with Marx beards would be less scary, I think. What are your opinions on Oh yeah, we made a video about Baathism. Taryn explained it. Other pan-national socialists. I don't know what the other ones are. Unless you mean like Yugoslav socialists, then they're pretty cool. That's technically pan-national.
Yeah, that was good.
Also, have you heard Young Patriots? No.
As for
So,
me on Baathism, I'm generally a supporter of its left-wing
oh, a
tendencies.
Young Patriot. I think that was like during the civil rights era, like after Black Panthers and shit. There was like other groups. Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about. So yeah, they're probably pretty cool. What do you think of Bookchin? I don't know.
Yeah, they were they used to be like a yeah. And they worked with the Black Panthers too. So, but I mean, they used to be white nationalist organization, socialist.
Wait, they used to
I'm not
be
really sure what happened to them,
white
but
nationalists and they became socialists.
yeah, because there was like quite a few like I don't know.
That's
It was
weird.
like in a certain part of Chicago where they came from.
Oh,
So
okay.
then it was like basically a bunch of like Marxists got together and basically convinced everybody to kind of turn away from white nationalism and toward more
Huh,
socialist.
that's pretty cool.
That's why they fought cops and stuff with the Black Panthers.
Okay, cool. So they're pretty cool then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of Bookchin? I don't know much about him. What about you, Dan?
I like him. I agree with mostly everything he says about social ecology. I think pretty much every leftist would agree, considering like basically it's just an analysis of how capitalism affects ecological, basically how it creates ecological issues, as well as that we have to have a necessity to create a ecological society. Of course, he was an anarchist, so that basically means that a hierarchy will basically mean man over nature, which essentially means that it'll be really hard to live with on a planet with hierarchy. Considering if we're over nature, then that becomes a problem. I'm
Okay.
guessing Leninists and every other Marxist would disagree with that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, maybe it's not necessarily true that I think a state can coexist with ecology. It's possible. Um,
I think it
but yeah, it really
I think it's
depends. Because
necessary because like a state
yeah, well, I
is
mean, yeah,
the
it
monopoly
has to be
on
necessary no
violence,
matter what.
and it can protect resources much better.
So regardless of a socialist state, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is ANCAP anarchism and why not?
So yeah, no, I like Bookchin though. He's one of my favorites. Kind of hard to read, but he's fun. I think I can't really talk about this in the which I'm making soon. I've just been really busy. Yeah, it's not anarchism
because it has capitalism in the name. It has absolutely nothing to do with anarchism whatsoever.
Yep. They steals it.
That's basically it.
They steals it.
But then again, I'm a
That's
fucking
it.
normie, so what do I know?
That's you. That's right, Lucifer. Figured out a way to read the chat. I just pull it up on my phone. I'm pretty smart, eh? Yes, that's you. Oh God,
Yeah.
in caps. So yeah, that's gonna be
Hey, that's me.
in the video coming up, right? Tendencies, anarchism.
Yeah, I've just been so busy with stuff lately, so
Okay,
I'll probably
yeah.
come out this weekend. I'm hoping.
You think there's any value to the family unit? That's an interesting question, eh?
I mean,
Define value first of all.
Well,
Um,
is it good or not? Is there any reason to retain it, I guess?
I mean, the family unit really organizes itself based on the society it's in. So,
Yeah, kind of.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If
I mean, I
you-
guess, I mean, probably.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Dan. Yeah, basically, if you read Engels's
Because
family.
obviously, a family unit affects how people think.
You broke up
Yeah,
for
you're
a
breaking
sec.
up, Dan. If you read Engels's
Me? I wasn't talking.
family
No,
and private property and origins of the states, that's kind of the point of that book is the family actually became the state. It evolved from family to a clan to a tribe to a state. So the family exists to pass down private property, to inherit it from your father, right? The patrilineal lineage. That's kind of how we have the family. So would we have it in a full communist society? Some version of it, maybe. Who knows? You could just have it if you want to. You know. But yeah, that's an interesting question. You could go on about that for a while. It's in both
Yeah.
in both communism and feminism. Well, specifically, like I don't know. Yeah, it's good though. Good question.
Yeah, definitely socialist feminism talks quite a bit about that.
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion is mostly on a psychological basis, because like in developmental psychology we learn about I don't know how you call it. It's like a microcosm and then the macrocosm,
Yeah.
which basically like between like micro effectively means how a child or just a child who's part of a family unit and has friends and stuff like that, and then the macro is basically the rest of the world, like value, culture, government, stuff like that. So it's like within what's in the immediate and then what's in the external, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much just look up those terms if you want to know what I mean. It's kind of hard to explain right now. I'm still learning about it myself.
Would you move to Cuba, given the opportunity and a chance for a decent job?
Cuba is pretty much my dream Latin American country. So if I choose a Latin American country, it would be Cuba. That would be an interesting thing, actually. I would want to move to a country. Well, like the problem is that like in Cuba, I don't speak Spanish, even specifically their dialect very well, and I'm not really immersed in the culture, so I would stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
It would be tempting.
Also,
I could probably maybe get the hang of it. I mean, I'm learning French, which is basically essentially has the same grammatical structure as Spanish.
yeah.
So it's really just a matter of learning words.
Yeah.
But that's kind of most languages, so yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Cuba would be my dream Latin American country. Would I move to it over, let's say, someplace in the West? IDK, because like friends and family are here. So,
Yeah.
Like or in the
okay.
I'd either live or they're in the Middle East, like in Lebanon. I'd be much rather to where my friends and family are in the West and Middle East. But yeah, Cuba would be my dream Latin American country. So it's probably in my top 5.
Yeah.
Ideally, a place where like class consciousness is spreading so like the fastest in the West, because I'm not a third worldist and all, and I think that the first world country making a leap to socialism would be the real game changer. Let's try to see the CIA reverse that.
Who
I
is?
think France is kind of like borderline, honestly, in my opinion. Because
Yeah.
like they've had like really strong unions for a long time, so they're like really close to just kind of like getting over to the side of socialism if they really want to. I'm not really sure what's stopping them though. I haven't really studied it that much, but I
Well,
think they're
France
pretty
is a
close.
capitalist country. They would need a revolution.
I know, but
Socialism.
has a very strong working class though.
Yeah, but and
It's a
then
very
people
strong
say
working
that
class.
oh, a strong working. Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, I've met French workers. They're pretty cute.
Yeah.
Well, like specifically comrades. I mean,
Check
I
check
went
who?
there to meet them. Anyways, who was or is the sexiest communist?
Ugh, this comment all brocialist, am I right, guys? But like, in order to
Old
avoid
picture
being
of
creepy,
Stalin.
okay, we're just gonna answer ourselves to avoid being creepy. But
Ourselves.
yeah,
Well, there's that old picture of
or young
Stalin, even
Stalin,
though it's
young
basically
Stalin.
like crudely photoshopped. He'd actually have like what spots on his face or something. That's what I
Yeah,
read.
but like even in videos, it doesn't seem to show up, does it?
I don't know. Well,
I don't know.
any video of him is going to be way later when he's old. It's like he wasn't hot then.
I think Brezhnev is the sexiest.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, he did have smallpox.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do you call uh, God, please release me from this deadly love. That was probably the sexiest picture. Brezhnev and what's his face? You know, the DDR guy. Anyways, other than that, Rosa Luxemburg probably.
yeah, she's cute.
Yeah.
Wow, guys. I can't believe we're answering this question like it's
Yeah, we
either
shouldn't have
ourselves or
answered
young
this.
Stalin. That's
Fucking
it.
Ethan
Pretty
White,
much.
chauvinist, making us show. And he asked like 5 questions. I forgot to say this, but there's a limit. You can only ask 1 question, but it's too late now.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself more of a Marxist or more of a? Wow, we already answered. You should know by now. Go read.
Yeah.
Go watch the other videos. Congrats on your subscribers. I'm just gonna start shooting out suggestions for the channel. I think you should really remake and refine your videos that elaborate on various tendencies, adding more visuals. I try to find as many as possible. Animation, I don't animate.
We're working on it. We're working on
Bring
it.
down the
Have
language would
patience.
do wonders. Yeah, I try to do that. The ability of being the communist equivalent of Crash Course. That would be fucking cute. Strive to capture a larger audience. Yeah, I mean, do what I can. Trying. Could also speculate on how communism today would look different from the past with our new technology. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Also, 2 questions. How do you avoid honeypots in your experience? I don't know. Just practice good OPSEC. Like what else can I say? Just know your OPSEC and practice it. Like someone's on a forum going, "Hey guys, you wanna start a riot? You wanna go around fucking do this direct action that I'm talking about on this public forum?" Be like, "Hi FBI, how's it going, FBI?" You know.
Nice try, FBI, but we know what we got to do.
How do you all think a new American left could be constructed? Since there's only liberalism now. There's still. But
Not only
yes,
liberalism.
The
there is
quote
no
unquote
American left as a
is
dominant political force. That's true.
there's like this fake resistance thing in America now that's like, oh, we're so brave opposition to Trump, and I'm like, no, you guys are all bourgeois celebrities and people who spend too much time on Twitter. You're not the resistance. And the worst part is that they're attacking the far left by calling us the alt left and we're all Bernie bros or something.
So
Usually hijacking our like language and terms just to make us look like a bunch of people that made Hillary lose because we're apparently misogynist, despite the fact that I think a good portion of us did not vote for Hillary because we didn't want women of color to be fucked over by her policies.
Yeah, the alt left thing doesn't make sense because alt right
We're still
came up
calling
with
ourselves
alt right.
communists.
Nobody's
Yeah.
calling themselves.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be an exonym. It's autonym. They came up with it themselves, and no one's calling themselves. Anyways.
Yeah, I actually shared like a Vanity Fair article on Twitter that talked about the alt left, and I guess they said it was like made up of Jill Stein, like the likes of Jill Stein and Cornel West.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that
So
one.
We're probably not anywhere close to that, honestly.
So it's
Look,
just
yeah.
social democrats.
We're way far left than the alt left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
like, you know,
It's
something.
not a contest, but if it was, we'd be winning.
I'm actually kind of glad the election pushed a massive stroke against the egos of the Democratic establishment.
Yeah.
Because like seeing them freak out in the post-election is pretty satisfying. Obviously, nothing good came of Trump, and Trump's a terrible human being. But like, you know, we have liberal A versus liberal B, and seeing liberal B get mad is still less fun.
Yeah.
Although Trump's gonna probably throw a bigger fit.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Next question. 4 more questions from Ethan. God damn it. What do you think of Jason Onuruha?
We
Okay.
answered that, didn't we?
No, someone just made a joke about it. They didn't ask
Oh.
what we think. Okay. I watch his videos. I like probably at least half of them. At least half of them I think are decent. Saying things that I think need to be said. Good videos. The other half are like, some of it is like, I think, in my opinion, is sectarian. Throwing around the term first worldist all the time. These guys are just first worldists. They're like, even if it's true in a way, it's like, why do you have to say it like that? You know. And you know, always like, I told you this would happen. I told you guys, they're all first worldists. I told you. It's like, not that he's necessarily wrong. It's just the style. It's just gets a little annoying. How he says it like that all the time. And then there's like the videos they makes that are like, he makes points that sound exactly like some fucking you know, rational skeptic Sargon type of guy, and then but it's just like at the end it's like, oh, the problem isn't that they're cultural Marxists, it's that they're not Marxist. But it's like you can't just like parrot fucking Sargon of Akkad talking points for like the whole video and then just say that at the end. You should come up with a different criticism of these things. That's what I think. Like, that's what I do. I made a video, a Marxist critique of liberal identity politics, where I took it on from a more Marxist perspective instead of like just buying into this thing that the SJWs are. Anyways, I could go on for a while about that.
Like the stuff the actual brocialists push forward, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like he's a Maoist, so if you press him on it, he would basically be a radical feminist, I think. So it just makes it weird that he says things that sound like brocialist talking points because they buy into. Basically, I think he just spends a lot of time on the. This is where I think it comes from. The brocialist shit and all this. These talking points come from people who get their politics from the internet, so they buy into like this right-wing hegemony that there's these crazy SJWs, they're all regressive, you know, all these straw man bullshit representations of the left that aren't accurate.
Pretty much.
So yeah,
You know, the thing with like, you know, every tendency has its problems. Within the Maoists, I think there's 2 specific things that can be bad. The first ones are the people who think that, oh, because the third world is not as socially progressive as the first world or something, this means all the socially progressive movements are just first worldist SJW stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not the lesson you're supposed to learn. Yeah. And it's kind of condescending to think that people from the third world are inherently more socially conservative, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
and the second one is like the people who just like who base their social policies based on, you know, whatever they find personally that they think is reactionary and all that, but it's just an excuse to take their frustrations out on people. I don't know. I think Maoists are the ones more prone to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty smug overall. He also doesn't. Yeah. He also has like a terrible grasp on anarchism. I mean, I've heard some stuff on anarchism, which is just like it's just stupid. It's just stupid. He really doesn't understand it.
Yeah, and then there's all the feuds.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I mostly disagree. You know, I'm not gonna argue with.
As much as people sometimes try to start shit with him.
If you're looking for anything about him, like on any other about it. It's difficult to grasp, and usually he doesn't get what he doesn't
Mhm.
understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
As much as people try to start shit with him and like diss him and stuff, he could definitely handle it better. Like, he doesn't handle it in a way that I think is very good. Support Trotskyism. What do you think? We answered. What the hell? What do you think about Stalin? Okay. What do we think about Stalin? Well, he won the war. That was the good thing, and he also
Yeah, he
collectivized,
won the
so that was
war,
good.
and a lot of his policies, I think, were necessary. Some sort of,
Yeah.
cruel but fair kind of thing.
Yeah.
I will criticize his excesses and mistakes. Like Mao, I think, has the best critique of Stalin, in that Stalin like did a lot of things that were just completely all uncalled for and very paranoid. Which, yeah, I think Mao has the best critique of Stalin, in my opinion, and his excesses. So I think you should check that one out.
He had a good mustache.
Yeah.
Of course, he'd
That's
say
basically
that, Dan.
that's basically all I care about.
Dan, the anarchist. Of course, he'd say that.
How often will
So
videos
edgy, Lord.
put out? Love watching every week. I've been putting out videos every week this whole year, and if you count this, then we're keeping that up. You identify as Posadas or Pinguist. I think it should be Squidward or Pingu, shouldn't it?
Squidward.
Isn't that the other? Squidward had the purge against Pingu or Pingu. I don't know. Squidward. If you had to concede any positive aspect of capitalism, what would they be? Oh, that's interesting. These are some good questions.
Technology.
Um,
Like that's not a
technology.
result of capitalism. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
because
the
of
thing.
capitalism.
How
It's
do we
just
know
something
that?
that.
How do we know that capitalism did anything good for technology? We don't really
I mean,
have
because
any
like the
way of
thing is,
knowing
like
that.
innovation occurs in all societies. You know, it doesn't really matter what
Yeah.
they are. Innovation is always a requirement. It's not
I don't
because
know.
of capitalism there's
Could be.
innovation.
I
But
would
like,
actually say that capitalism stifles innovation because people only seek to innovate on what is profitable, not what is beneficial.
Well,
yeah.
still, I mean, yeah, but there's still innovation though.
Yeah, I'm
It
just saying
still
that, like,
exists. That's what
yeah,
I
but I'm
mean.
like, in the long run, eventually we're gonna just start getting a bunch of really useless crap that only makes us feel better without actually
Yeah.
making a sort
But
of
if we
decent
go with
change.
something
Oh,
that's
I
like,
got to get positive aspect.
yeah,
The reactions against capitalism.
if we
Huh.
go with something that's like
That's
for
that's
sure caused by
the
capitalism,
positive aspect.
that for sure we have under capitalism, probably like going to get like a fucking bacon double cheeseburger with extra cheese and shit like that, junk food and like extra greasy fast food, and I don't know, hardcore pornography, shit like that, stuff that like you really like for a few seconds and then you realize that was a total fucking waste of resources. We don't need that at all. In fact, if anything, it does harm. Those are the good. Those are the things that I probably like about capitalism. Type of things that I like for a few seconds, and then after that, I'm like, "Fuck, that was not a good idea."
Yeah.
Because they're all things that we
I
would
like the
never.
fact how capitalism makes me feel like a teenager
Yeah,
again.
things that we would never need in a planned economy because we're like that's terrible. We don't need that shit anyway. Also, are you gay? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, everybody. According to the Kinsey scale, everybody's a little bit gay.
Yeah,
Well,
I can
unless
agree
you're
with
a
that.
zero.
I'm
That's true.
probably, I don't know, bi-curious or something.
Yeah, look up the Kinsey scale. That basically proves everybody's just a little bit gay.
Yeah, again, unless you're a zero.
Everybody has had at least one gay thought in their life, whether they're straight or not.
Yeah, that's true.
So
It's inevitable.
Okay.
just part of being human.
Baxter says, "Is no one gonna point out the irony of the communist having a Patreon?"
No.
Har har har. He
I
got us,
just said
guys. He
no.
got us. It's over. Guess we're gonna be
Made
making
reference.
anarcho-capitalism
Okay,
content from now on.
just in case anyone actually thinks that's a good question, let's go over this. Does crowdfunding have anything to do with who controls the means of production? No. Does crowdfunding have anything to do with exploitation for surplus value? No. Does crowdfunding have anything to do with class society, whether there are classes or not? No, I don't think so.
True, right?
The only thing is it happens to use money because that's what we use. Because that's what the system we're under. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, plus irony is specifically a literary term. Hypocritical
Wow,
would be the more
people,
correct
wow,
term.
we can't go down that road. People use irony for anything that they think is contradictory.
Yeah, but that's not quite what it is.
Yeah. What is your opinion of the glorious science of ML Posadism? Yeah, Posadism.
It's needed.
It's needed.
We need aliens.
You know what
you
my
saw Star Trek and the fucking what was it? It was like the ninth Nemesis. Yeah, Nemesis. Fucking
Oh.
like that's when the Vulcans came and like basically taught everybody like stop killing each other and just do full luxury gay space communism and there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Posadism all the way.
You know what my idea is though for a hybrid ideology. Anarcho-primitivist, Posadist, third worldist. So that's the belief that we want the aliens to come down and bomb all the first world countries so that the third world countries could have their primitive revolution. Think about it.
Sounds like airtight logic to me. I'm down with that.
That's the only objectively revolutionary ideology.
Mhm.
Now.
That's what Marx really wanted.
Okay. In your region, what political party are you for? Well, are you for? I'm for like a brand new party that comes up and wins everything and has a total social revolution. What do you think? But no. Okay, well, I guess we have to continue the story of coming to leftism now. 4 or 5 years ago, well, basically for the last 5 years or so, I've been a card-carrying social democrat. I don't usually, admit that. But yeah, 4 or 5 years ago,
I was get gulagged.
I joined. Yeah. If you're familiar with Canadian politics, I joined the NDP under Jack Layton because back then I was like, yeah, he's left enough for me. And then he died, and then the next guy was Thomas Mulcair, who was a total liberal. I remember during the leadership vote, there was like a ranked ballot, and I put him at number 8 at the bottom, below the guy that dropped out, Romeo Saganash. He wasn't even running anymore. So yeah, then there was a liberal. I was like, oh, this is shit. I'm not gonna win with this guy. He was literally from the Quebec Liberals, and he's like, oh, but they're only Federalist Party. So then I joined the Socialist Caucus, which is a group that's to the left of the party, inside the party. It's really mostly just a bunch of Marxists that are like, that have a front inside the party to drag people. Not necessarily out because they would still be members, but would drag people into like a Marxist party. So that's what happened with me. So that's how I came to Marxism. So for me, it worked. So that's my defense of why I'm still a card-carrying social democrat. And Taryn, you're technically supposed to do that too because you're in Fight Back, right?
Yeah, I'm in Fight Back.
So yeah, you technically should be in the NDP as well. So you could go to
I guess, although don't really go out. I wouldn't say I'd want to support the NDP. Like I prioritize Fight Back.
It's kind of fun at the conventions though. Like apart from the selling the newspapers, like whenever there's an issue that has something that's actually decent that they actually let people debate, you go up to the mic and be like, "Yes, I support, raise the minimum wage and this shit and that shit." And you can say whatever you want in your motivating speech. So we go up there, we make a video of it, like, yeah, look at this. Marxist radicalizes all these social democrats at the convention. I did that.
You should just join the Québécois National Party, because like,
what?
You could definitely radicalize a lot of people there.
The what
Under like
party?
Quebec should be its own country. using Marxist Leninism.
Well, that's what Quebec Solidaire is for.
If the Quebec
Oh.
people want it en masse, I would kind of let them. Well, I would let them because that's self-determination and whatnot. But at the same time, like I think the Quebec separatist movement is pretty bourgeois.
No, well, there's definitely a lot of bourgeois elements in it. Here's the thing, though. The Quebec left is I think overwhelmingly sovereigntist. So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
that the sovereigntist movement is leftist, but the left is sovereigntist. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm officially part of the Green Party. Uh, I basically my intention with that. Initially, when I was in the election, I just wanted to vote third party because I think that would give like at least a shift. Because like basically, third parties can like have access to the next year's like presidential ballot, basically
Yeah.
giving people 3 options instead of just 2, which I think would be a gigantic shift within like what people think of politics in the United States, considering well, we only have 2 options for literally everything, because that's democracy. um, also the fact that I'm thinking of like if there's ever like a mayoral election or just any kind of like position I could possibly run for, I'll use that just to spread propaganda. I don't give a shit about winning. I just want to spread propaganda.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's pretty much the only reason.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Do you like Raul Castro? Ooh,
He
that's
can't live
interesting.
up to his brother, but
Well,
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is, he was there for the whole thing, going all the way back, I believe, all the way back to Julio 26, the Moncada barracks attack, I think. At the very least, he was there for the whole insurgency. And he was actually, like, to the left because, like, what happened was, like, Fidel was, like, Marxist deep down, but, like, chat mod me. Oh, I thought I already did. Um, But Raul was openly communist the whole time, right? Along with Che. So so the perception was that he was to the left of them. And now it seems like it's kind of the reverse since Fidel. Well, not since he died, since he stepped down. They've been going on with more neoliberal reforms in Cuba, sadly. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess he's still a comrade. I think, but it's like
He just can't live up to
really
it.
concerned about what he's doing.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
I like
thing.
Raul.
Yeah.
Raul. I mean, I give him a gold star for trying. Uh,
Overall, I like
but
him.
yeah,
He's
I mean, like I know he like tried to be like a OG communist. I think more so than Fidel was, because Fidel
yeah,
was kind of more of a nationalist, if anything. I mean, at least I think he was an opportunist. But Raul seemed like he was pretty legitimate.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess capitalism is pretty much already winning Cuba again. So yeah, it's a shame.
yeah. So that's all the questions that we got. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will have more videos coming out for you. Our next, nobody asked what channels I like. I will give a shout out to Actual Dong and Skefnarm because they have good channels. Probably link it though. Anyways, um, our next videos coming out are going to be tendencies, left communism, well, like non-Leninist Marxism. So it's going to be called Left Communism, Luxembourg, and De Leon. That's what it's going to be called. And anarchism, and then after that, other cool shit.
Yep.
So thanks for
Right.
watching.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.